Hey, basketball coaches, players, and fans. Today we're going to be talking to you about the Toronto Raptors defense, the strategies that they implement, and why they are a championship contender and why their defense is so amazing. Let's get down to the clipboard and let's check out the Toronto Raptors defense. So the defense of the Toronto Raptors, they really like to switch and also hedge really strong, but also really smart. So what we have here is JaVale McGee and LeBron James. What's going to happen here is this is going to be a dribble handoff with JaVale McGee to LeBron. And what's going to happen here is we have Ogn Inoby. He is chasing over top of that dribble handoff, over top of that screen. What Marc Gasol is going to do is he's going to hedge, but a lot of players will hedge too far, which allows the key to be wide open. Now that's okay to happen if you have another post player who's able to get there in time to cut off the lob. But as we can see here, Fred VanVleet is nowhere near 7 feet tall. We have Pascal Siakam, but he's way too high. So what Marc Gasol needs to do is to slightly hedge to cut off the drive, but allow the shot to happen because OG is literally right on the tail of LeBron James. And now because of that, they've cut off that drive. We have Pascal Siakam sliding down, but that's nowhere near the type of hedge or the type of defense that we need. But because Marc Gasol didn't hedge all the way out to LeBron, that allows him to recover. His speed does come into a factor here too. Even though he is an older player, he is still quite fast. And he's also quite strong. So he goes straight up, and because he goes straight up, there's no foul call. He's able to contest that. And then he's able to pass off or technically tip that ball to Pascal Siakam. So now we have an isolation situation with LeBron James against Ogn Inoby. Now, this is not truly an isolation because there is a play that is forming up top, but LeBron James will have a very difficult time scoring on OG because of his quickness as well as his ability to play straight up. So now we have Ogn Inoby. He has his hand right up. What this is doing is cutting off any over-the-shoulder passes for any cutting players, but also contesting any shots that LeBron James wants to put up. Ogn Inoby is a very good defensive player, and if you would like, sometime during this video there's going to be a card that pops up about Ogn Inoby's defense, so definitely go check that out. And also later today's video on Fred VanVleet's defense. Now, what we have here is a cut by Anthony Davis. We actually have two players who are cutting off that cut. This is another thing that we see with the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors double team quite often. They double team most players who are good but cutting across the key. But also, they will double team within the last 4 or 5 seconds of a shot clock. So keep that in mind for when you're watching the Toronto Raptors. So we have a double team there, nothing happens. We have JaVale McGee cutting across, but we're in single coverage now because Pascal Siakam is still covering Anthony Davis slightly because Anthony Davis is out of bounds, so nobody cares. JaVale McGee clears out the side, which then allows LeBron James to go ISO, but there's not enough time left for him to do much. There's only 9 seconds left on the shot clock against a really good defender, so he opts and decides to go for a shot, which is heavily contested by Ogn Inoby. And because of the amount of players who have packed the key, we now get a very easy defensive rebound. Now this next play that we see here, it's a screen on the opposite side, and what we're going to be having is Anthony Davis attacking the rim. So what they wanted to achieve here was the switch off with Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry is a very strong defensive player, but he tries to drive down the middle of the key. Now this is another thing that you're going to notice with the Toronto Raptors. So Ogn Inoby's over here. He is pretty well staying tight, ridiculously tight against LeBron James. because they don't want LeBron James getting that ball. He's almost like a baby Kawhi Leonard. And then we have literally all 4 other players who are coming in to defend Anthony Davis coming towards the rim. So what we have here is, of course, this switch that happened. He is still reaching in, trying to get that ball. We do have Ogn Inoby leaving LeBron James slightly to try and cover Pope over here. And then we have Anthony Davis going into quite literally a triple team. We have Fred VanVleet, who has left his defender to try and play help defense on that drive. Kyle Lowry is getting ready to take a charge. And then we have Marc Gasol, who is a real center. If I have to say that there's a real center in the NBA, he is definitely a real center. He goes in for the ball, and there's really nothing that Anthony Davis could do at all. And as we can see, Ogn Inoby took away that pass. He actually sped up a bit because he thought that pass was going through to Pope. And because of that, he needs to recover. But we have LeBron James, who is now cutting towards the net because OG has left LeBron James. But what do we have? We have these 2 players. And we have those 2 players who see that cutter, and they double team him once again. Remember, what's a higher percentage shot? A shot inside the key or a 3-point shot? Generally speaking, a shot inside the key is a higher percentage shot. Pope is not a great 3-point shooter, and Green has been having issues this year, but they did really play tight defense on him most of the time, which allowed him to be shut down this game as well. Now, when they passed out to Green, we did have Fred VanVleet go and contest that shot, but because he flew out, I'm not a huge fan of players flying out for a shot, but when a player gets it wide open, then they have in their mind that they're going to shoot. Look at that. He's ready to shoot. And now, at the last second, he notices Fred VanVleet getting ready to block. He needs to take that one extra dribble, and sometimes that does mess a player up. Now, I just want you to see this really quickly. I don't think I covered this in my Ogn Inoby video. Ogn Inoby, if you start dribbling up top against him, he's going to be sticking his hand right at your knees, which is going to allow him to pick off your dribble quite effectively. And because of that, he's able to then force the players towards the half-court line and hope for an over and back charge. But what happens here is it sort of backfires. He got his hand on his back, slightly pushed him, not hard enough. I'm going to call that a flop, but LeBron James did push his left hand back and hit him in the face, which should have been a foul on LeBron. Personally, if I was the referee standing here, what I would have called that is no foul on either side, because both OG fouled LeBron slightly and LeBron fouled OG. So I would have not called that at all and just said keep on going. Now, I'm going to say that Kyle Lowry's gotten into everybody's heads, but how many times do you see a 7-footer go in and take a charge? Yeah, not many. Not many 7-footers do that, and that's another thing with the Toronto Raptors. Almost pretty well, the whole team has gotten into their heads to take charges, especially on players who are driving towards the rim. Kyle Lowry is a beast. So here we have a triple or a double screen up top for a dribble handoff. Fred VanVleet fights through over top all of the screens. 90% of the time you're going to see the Raptors fight over top of the screens, and if they don't, they are generally playing a zone defense. And when that happens, they just basically call a switch, and because that works so often for them, because pretty well all of their players can guard every position, which is quite helpful. So what we have here off of that dribble handoff is Marc Gasol. He is hedging down. He's not hedging out. He's hedging down. He's cutting off the drive, but he's also cutting off anything to JaVale McGee. Because Fred VanVleet was able to go over top of all of those screens, he's right on the tail of what looks to be Pope. And because of that, he's able to stick with Pope and force that pass. Now, Closing out on somebody like Anthony Davis, we have Pascal Siakam with his hands wide up. Looks like he's dancing. And then we have a pass off. Now, what's going to happen here? Ogn Inoby stays low. Check that out. Nice and low. Keeps his shoulders lower than LeBron James. And check this out. The help defender. What I was mentioning earlier on in this video. We have the help defender coming in on LeBron, taking either a charge or a strip. Now they get it to Pope. This is a mistake. I'm going to mention this in my next video. But somebody didn't call switch, and that leaves Pope wide open. And, well, because of that, they get a contested shot. Now, I did break this down in the video coming later today, but this is Fred VanVleet's amazing defense on Kyle Kuzma. He literally owned him. Now, what we have here is Fred VanVleet staying lower, shoulders lower, on his toes, getting ready to try and poke that dribble away. Stays with him, doesn't cross his feet, stays low, keeps his hand up in the passing lane, tries to take a little bit of a charge there, especially with the shoulder down. And because of that, Kyle Kuzma loses that ball, sort of tries a spin move. But then we have Ogn Inoby who notices that. Now, this is something that every player needs to do. If you're playing the point and the wing player over here spins and has his back to you and you feel like he's going to be spinning back around, you need to get over there because as soon as he spins back around, you have an easy poke. Now, this one's easier than most, but that's just a quick tip for all of the basketball players out there. Now, all of the players on the Toronto Raptors are extremely talented on defense. Their agility, their ability to change directions and stay in their defensive stance, keeping their shoulders lower than their offensive player, allows them to stay very good on defense, but also their ability to switch off and to cause any double teams for players cutting down the middle of the key. I hope this has been helpful to all the players and coaches who want to have improved defense for the upcoming year. If it has, hit that like button, subscribe, go check out my vertical jump training books as well as my Unbeatable and Perimeter Basketball defense books down in the description below. And just as a quick FYI, the Milwaukee Bucks did use the Unbeatable basketball defense in at least one play last year's playoffs. I'll see you guys again next time.